Okay, in this video we are going to talk about Lagrange multipliers. We're going to have two variables and we're going to have one constraint. And specifically we're going to work on f of xy is equal to 4x cubed plus y squared, and our constraint will involve 2x squared plus y squared equals 1. So we're looking for the absolute biggest value and the absolute smallest value along that constraint curve for the function f of xy. Alright, so there's a bunch of stuff you need to know. This is actually the second video that I've made about Lagrange multipliers. I go a little more in depth in the first one about what you need to know, but I'm going to flash it up on the screen here and kind of go through it really briefly and then just do the problem. So we need to know the function we're going to optimize. We need to have a constraint curve and it should equal 0. In practice that doesn't actually really matter, but you should kind of do it to make it look right. We're going to solve the system. Gradient of f equals lambda times the gradient of g, and g of xy equals 0. So there are three variables involved, x, y, and lambda, which means we have three equations because the gradients give us two equations and three unknowns. So the two equations from the gradients are partial x equals lambda partial x and partial y equals lambda partial y. And then the third equation is g of xy equals 0. All right, so now, and as I mentioned, there's another video where I take a lot longer to go through that. Let's do the problem. So we're trying to find the maximum and minimum values of f of xy, which is equal to 4x cubed plus y squared, such that, or given the constraint, 2x squared plus y squared equals 1, which is kind of like an elliptical cylinder. And we have the surface f of xy, and we're just going to like cut it and see like what's the biggest value that the function takes along that boundary. What's the smallest value that it takes along the boundary? So we need to know what g of xy is. That's usually the first step. So you take your constraint, move everything to one side. So g of xy, 2x squared plus y squared minus 1, and then g of xy, since I moved everything over, is just equal to 0. So we have our condition that we need. Now we are going to kind of implement the plan, right? So I need some gradients. So I'm going to find the gradients. So first, I will find the gradient of f. So the gradient of f, I need to know partial x. So the function f is 4x cubed plus y squared. So 4x cubed is where all the x's are. The derivative with respect to x is 12x squared, so that's partial x. Same idea for y. Y squared is the only thing, so the derivative of that is 2y with respect to y. And there's our gradient of f. We need the gradient of g. So the gradient of g is going to be, so g is 2x squared plus y squared minus 1. 2x squared is the only thing with x's, so partial x is 4x. Partial y, for similar reasons, is just going to be 2y. Okay, we have our gradients, and now we are ready to kind of set this thing up, right? So there's always like, it seems like you have an overwhelming number of variables because people tend to forget that lambda is a variable. It's kind of interesting. Lambda is a variable, and when you go through this process, you just kind of don't really care what lambda is. I'm sure there are applications where you care, but not for these. It's just kind of like a helper variable as far as we're concerned. So gradient of f will be lambda gradient of g. That'll give us two equations. Partial x equals lambda partial x. Partial y equals lambda partial y. And then our third equation will be g of xy equals 0. So let's actually write the system. So partial x equals lambda partial x. So 12x squared equals lambda times 4x. And then partial y equals lambda partial y. This one's kind of interesting. It's 2y equals lambda times 2y. So that's true for like all y, so we'll see what happens there. Well, that was totally wrong. That is not true because lambda is not necessarily 1. But it still looks interesting, I guess is what I was trying to say. Okay, and then g of xy equals 0. I always go back to the original constraint, 2x squared plus y squared equals 1, because it's just easier to work with. All right, and now we are going to solve the system. So I'm going to be really careful while I solve this system, and then I will tell you how I would probably do it that is less careful. So the first thing I have is two things that involve lambda. So generally speaking, you just want to like combine those, set them equal to lambda, and then kind of set them equal to each other. It's a little complicated in this case because 12x squared is equal to lambda times 4x. I could just divide by 4x and get lambda equals 3x squared. and get lambda equals 3x. But if I do that, I'm presupposing that x does not equal 0. The safer thing to do is move everything to one side and factor. So I'm going to do that because I want to do the safe thing here. So 12x squared minus 4x lambda equals 0. I can take 4x out of both things. So 4x leaves me with 3x minus lambda equals 0. All right, so to solve this, either 4x will equal 0, or 3x minus lambda will equal 0, which means either x is equal to 0 or lambda is equal to 3x. Okay, so if you just divide both sides by 4x from the outset, you have to remember that you were saying x couldn't be 0, so then you have to check and see if x is equal to 0. Either way, you should end up from this equation with x equals 0 or lambda equals 3x. So now I'm going to do kind of the same thing to the other equation. 2y equals lambda times 2y. Bring everything to one side. I could just divide both sides by 2y at this point and get lambda equals 1. But since I divided by y, I'm assuming it's not equal to 0. So I also have to check when it is equal to 0. So, I mean, do it either way. I think the safe way, the way that looks the best, is to do this. Factor out 2y. 1 minus lambda. So either y equals 0, which is what we would have lost when we divided by 2y, or lambda equals 1. All right, so what is going on? We've got lambda equals 3x, lambda equals 1 going here. There, I can actually set those equal and say, like, if lambda equals 3x and lambda equals 1, then 3x equals 1, which means x equals 1/3 is another point that I'm going to have to work with. All right, so I want to now find the actual points that are on the constraint. So I'm going to use these three things to find the points. So I will take those and I will sub them into 2x squared plus y squared equals 1, our constraint. So like g of xy. So if x equals 0, subbing right in, it's going to be 2 times 0 squared plus y squared equals 1, which means y squared equals 1, which means y equals plus or minus 1. So I actually get two ordered pairs. So the points that I'm getting for this part are 0, 1, and 0, negative 1. And then what if y equals 0? So if y equals 0, I will get 2x squared plus 0 squared equals 1. So that's 2x squared equals 1, x squared equals 1 over 2, x equals plus or minus root 2 over 2. You don't really need to rationalize that. You could say x is equal to plus or minus 1 over root 2. I grew up in a time where you had to rationalize that, and I just can't break the habit. But if you never got into the habit, that's okay. Technology has made it kind of like useless to rationalize. All right, so the ordered pairs we get, don't forget, don't switch x and y. So x values are plus or minus root 2 over 2, and the y value is 0. So we get two more ordered pairs. So we're going to have to check all these. There's going to be a lot of checking. And then finally, we have x could equal 1/3. If x is 1/3, we would have 2 times 1/3 squared plus y squared equals 1. All right, so let's see. 2 times 1/3 squared is 1/9, so that's 2/9. I'm going to subtract that from the other side to get 1 minus 2/9 is 7/9. So y squared is 7/9. Take the square root, plus or minus radical 7 over 3. So y could be plus or minus radical 7 over 3. Okay, which gives us two more ordered pairs. So each of our x's gave us two ordered pairs. So we have 6 ordered pairs we're going to check. So for these ordered pairs, like one or more of them may give us the same value of the function, but we're looking for the biggest value of the function and the smallest value of the function. Guaranteed it's going to happen at least one of these points for the smallest, at least one of these points for the biggest. There's usually a lot of like symmetry that goes on with these. So let's see. Copying over our function and the points. You can kind of see like for the function, when x is equal to 0, you just get y squared. So f of 0, 1 and 0, negative 1 are going to be the same because 1 squared and negative 1 squared are both 1. So we get 0 plus 1. So just get 1 at that point, at those 2 points, I should say. So those 2 points are on the constraint curve, 2x squared plus y squared equals 1. And then when we go to the function value, we get 1 for both of them. So that might be the biggest value, it might be the smallest value. or it might just be there. So let's do the next one. So I'm going to do root 2 over 2 comma 0. So what's nice is when y is equal to 0, that part just drops out. So I really just have to do root 2 over 2 cubed, 4 times root 2 over 2 cubed, and then plus 0. So 4, root 2 cubed is 2 root 2, and 2 cubed is 8. So I got 4 times 2 is 8 divided by 8, so I just get root 2. Okay, now let's do negative root 2 over 2. I mean, you probably see how this is going. This is just the negative of root 2 over 2 cubed, so that's just going to give me negative root 2. Well, it's not, 4 times negative root 2 over 2 cubed. But it's the same work as the previous one, just negative. And then I need to plug in 1/3 negative root 7 over 3 and 1/3 root 7 over 3. So the way that this function is working, the 1/3, when I cube it and multiply by 4, will be the same thing both times. And then y is squared, so it doesn't matter if they're positive or negative things that I'm subbing in. So I'm going to do both of those at the same time. They will give the same value. If you don't notice that, just do it, and you'll just get the same value and be like, oh, I should have noticed that. So this, if we sub it in, it's going to be 4 times 1/3 cubed, so that's 4 over 27. And then radical 7 squared is 7 over 3 squared is 9, so 7 over 9. Alright, so 7, I'm going to multiply by 3 over 3, so 21 over 27 plus 4 over 27 is 25 over 27. Alright, so 25 over 27 is less than 1. Radical 2 is bigger than 1, so the biggest value you can possibly get for this function on this constraint curve is radical 2. And it occurs at root 2 over 2, 0, but usually you don't care about that, you just care about the value. And then the minimum value is obviously the negative one, negative root 2. So we got a minimum value of negative root 2, maximum value of root 2. We use Lagrange multipliers to find that. I hope you found this helpful, and good luck.